So this video is going to get a little confusing, and I'm going to show a process of figuring out what was going on with the texture here. But this is going to be another attach filver, 2A filver, for this specific model. And in this situation, the texture is not going to show up, or we're going to get a really distorted texture. And I'm going to show you the really weird fix. Um, in order to get the textures to show up properly. Um, but let's go ahead and move on to the next step. So first things first, just like I did in the attachment video, we want to make a FLVER template file. Um, we want to make it a dedicated file. So I made this specific FLVER a Kermit file. I finished the FLVER edit on Blender and then uploaded it the FBX to a template FLVER file, and that's what this is. So um, this is this is what we're going to attach to an Exile Soldier, which is this one right here. And in this file, we're going to delete all the body stuff, literally everything except the weapons. Now, this video is going to jump around a little bit because there's a ton of steps that you already know how to do if you've been following along on any of the previous stuff, or you just know because you've been modding for a little bit, such as how to delete, meshes, how to make a map, just random stuff. This specific video is not about any of those steps, and I want to make it as short as possible to get to the problem itself. So, um, so yeah, if some things don't make sense, it's because I skip steps that you should hopefully know by now. So like I said, I deleted everything that I didn't need. Um, I only needed the weapons, and I clicked attach, and then I'm going to attach the frog, which used to be a blank template. And then you have to click modify in order for it to show up. One of the things I didn't show is that I actually um, already added the textures to Kermit in the dummy file or in his file. I did not attach anything to the dummy mesh though within that file. So everything should only be locked onto Kermit himself. And when we load him up in the game, you're gonna see he has no textures. And if you didn't, you can see here you can add it now if you want. We can add Kermit's or whatever your mesh's um, texture. It doesn't matter which order you do it. I just find it easier to do it in while I'm making him in the template filter file. But we're gonna load him up in the game, and we're gonna see that he has no textures, which makes no sense because we gave his body a texture. Everything's packed correctly. Everything's in its um, XML file correctly, and we don't need to see how to do that because you guys know how to do that by now. Just like I said, even though Kermit does have a texture assigned to his body, he just he's naked. So this is the weird part. We're going to edit the dummy. Now this is the dummy that came with the dummy filter file, and we're actually going to add the exact same texture to the dummy body. For some reason, Kermit just thinks that this is his body. I don't really understand. And I'm also going to add a normal to Kermit's actual mesh just to see what happens. It shouldn't change anything because we already discovered that Kermit's body doesn't accept textures. It's the dummy that's accepting textures. But we're gonna go ahead and load it up in the game. Immediately we notice that he is green and he's got this weird black thing on him. But we notice immediately that adding the texture to the dummy mesh, which doesn't exist, it's super weird, but we noticed it gave him a green body with these weird black lines. So let's open up the material again and see if we can figure out precisely what's going on here. So we're in the dummy file right now. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to go uh, I'm gonna modify so that we can make sure all the changes take effect. And I'm going to leave the normal and the albedo on Kermit's body, um, just to make absolute sure that it was the dummy that was accepting the texture. Yep, Kermit's body is still assigned the same textures, but it's not appearing. So now we know for certain that it's the dummy that's accepting the mesh. So let's go ahead and add a fake normal. So we're going to add his like his texture, his albedo, in his normal slot, just to see if we can get something to change. Obviously, that's not what you would actually want in your game. You wouldn't use an albedo or a diffuse map in place of your normal map. We're just using this for testing reasons to see if we can get a difference. So his we got his albedo back on, so his his green and black line thing, and now we have a normal map, a temporary normal map on him, just see if we can get a difference. Immediately we notice he's way greener. All right, so his eyeballs are a little messed up. The color, the color is slightly different. Um, yeah, so the normal map seems to be playing a big role on him accepting color across his entire body. So what we're going to do is complete a normal map. Now keep in mind, Kermit, this model didn't come with a normal map. It only came with the body textures or with a diffuse map. So you would think naturally, oh, he doesn't need a normal map, but Elden Ring is still requiring it. So we're going to give him a real one. And I put a metallic on there, and it just kind of made him really scary looking. So it wasn't necessary to do that. It was just further proof that the dummy was accepting textures, and that's it. Anyway, so I skipped a few steps, made that normal map, and I'm implementing in the XML, and then I'm just going to put it in the dummy um, normal location. Which remember, the only reason we have a dummy is because we used attach, and um, which we used a template FLVER file, and it just because it's a template, it's got a dummy in it. It's not supposed to do anything, but in this case, it actually did, and so we're hijacking it. All right, and there you go. There is the solution to Kermit. Now the eyeballs are slightly off because I didn't give the norm. I didn't even touch the adjustments on the normal map, but that it fixed it. That was the issue. The dummy needed to have the texture in the normal map, um, and the Kermit mesh didn't need any textures at all. I left them blank. Super weird, but there you go.